Well, welcome back to Built Not Motivated. Once again, I am your host, Keefe Williams, online fitness coach. Lost 55 pounds, so I pretend like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. All right. Last week we spoke about why beginners often quit, and we're going to kind of branch off from that and kind of give some clarity on some stuff. I want to talk about how to start without overhauling your life. And people think when you start to work out and you want to change and you want to be healthier and you want to live this better lifestyle that everything needs to change all at once, and this has to be such a drastic change. Obviously, with the last two podcasts, you guys should know by now that that is not true. But I still get questions on, how do you do this with being a dad and having a full-time job and then, you know, working out all the time and then doing a podcast and, trying to, run the social media accounts. And obviously I have hobbies and I have stuff that I want to do outside of this. But people think that they don't have enough time when realistically they just either one need to be better at time management and not just scroll on your phone or watch Netflix all the time and all this stuff. But it doesn't take a lot of work, and you can still do those things. You just have to be intentional with your downtime, right? So first thing, fitness should fit into your life. It shouldn't replace your life. And I think that is what people thought when I first started doing, not when I first started doing the workouts and when I first started, doing this all the time. But it wasn't true, right? I was still a dad. I was still working my normal 50 hours, and we're still going on vacations, and I'm still eating supper with my family, and I'm enjoying the same meals and all that. But you don't have to overhaul your life day one just to start this, fitness journey. Obviously, parenting is a huge one. One of my coworkers asked me, he goes, "Man, how do you do it?" Well, one, I have a spouse that's on board. If I want to go run for 2 hours, which I think I only did once, but obviously there was a lot of hour long ones in there, or 45-minute, ones in there. Obviously, we have a minimum hour time allotment for our kids to go to daycare. So while they're at daycare, while they're at school, during some of my days off or in the morning, or my free time where I have time alone, I run. Or if my wife is at home with the kids, well, obviously I can go run if I want to do that. We're in a place where when I first started this, our gym had a daycare. So luckily, with my work schedule and my normal life schedule, we were able to work around those types of things. I know some people don't have that luxury, but maybe that's something that you need to think about. If you have to drive an extra 10 minutes to the gym just so you can have the daycare option, I would 100% recommend it. If luckily we lived a block and a half away from that, and maybe I take it for granted now, but it was 100% worth it. And if I had to drive 15 minutes to get that same experience and that same routine down, I would do it. Now we have a home gym. We have a close cable stack, and we have a squat rack with some pulleys and stuff, and we have a bike and a treadmill. Well, I don't make my kids come out to work out with me. If they want to come hang out with me, they're more than welcome to. They're old enough that they can either hang out inside and play, or they can come out. Like, I'm not overhauling my life. I'm not, staying up once they go to bed just so I can get a workout in. I'm not waking up at 5:30 in the morning just so they can get a workout on. Like, if you have to do that to make it fit, sorry, but you need to find or you should hope to find a better way to do it, right? And obviously, if you have, so with my work schedule, I work 5 on, 4 off. If my work schedule only, or if my schedule only allowed me to work out on those 4 days, well, I'm going to bring the intensity on those 4 days. And if I can't work out on those 5 days, I'm not going to work out. Like, you need to find a system that works for you and what helps you out, right? Being a parent and being a husband or a wife and having a full-time job, like, you got to work around those things. You don't make fitness work around those things. You make fitness work around those things. You don't make those things work around your fitness goals, right? And I know I had a ton of questions about that starting off. Like, people just, I don't know if they just thought that I wasn't being a dad or a husband anymore, and I was just out there winging it and, kind of doing my own thing. But no, like, still a full-time parent, full-time husband, full-time worker, right? You just got to find the best way, the best system for you to make sure that you can still live your life. Like, this isn't a thing where you're just all of a sudden going to work out all the time and then just, not be a parent. And yeah, so that kind of goes along with that. That kind of sums that up, sorry. And another thing is, like, long hours at work. I never waited until after work to get my workout in. Never. Because I wanted to make sure I got it done in a timely manner in the morning, and then if something came up where I had to stay an hour late, well, then it's an hour late it's an hour less that I'm getting to sleep or more, because then I'm jacked up for my workout, right? So, I mean, if that works for you, that works for you. It didn't work for me. Obviously, with getting off at 9 o'clock at night versus someone who gets off work at, 4:30 in the afternoon, that person who gets off work at 4:30 in the afternoon probably doesn't want to work out in the morning. Well, then they can work out after work. Like, that's their system. Every individual family and every individual person has a different system that works for them. So yeah, time efficient workouts, they actually work. I just got done doing a 25-minute HIIT workout. And with that, like I mentioned, in my social media posts and the podcast earlier, I do January, it's like the 1, so 100, or for miles, it's 1 point whatever. So my HIIT workout was 116 pull-ups and lunges, and 115 push-ups and air squats. I missed yesterday. I wanted to make sure I got today's done, brought the intensity, made sure I had enough time to hit my cardio goals. And I am sore. I am more sore and more, like, I wouldn't say weak, but like you can tell, like, when you raise your arms after a good workout, like, they're heavy. My arms are heavier than normal, and like the veins were popping, right? So it was a 25-minute workout. I burned 300 calories in 25 minutes, brought the intensity. That stuff works. If you only have 20 minutes to work out every single day, no matter what, you have 20 minutes a day, I would recommend that you do a HIIT or EMOM. So you do 4 rounds of 5 exercises, right? So say it's push-ups, crunches, or sit-ups, and then like kettlebell swings and air squats or burpees, whatever. Pick 5 of those and do them each for 45 seconds each, or whatever, 50 seconds each. Switch, and in that time frame, you're going to hit those 5 workouts or those 4 workouts in the 5 minutes, and you're just going to do that cycle until your 20 minutes is up. That is one thing that I often do for cardio. And if that's the only thing that you can do, or if that's the only time you have, do that. Do 20 minutes on the stair stepper if you got one, or if you have 20 minutes at the gym to get your cardio in, do the stair stepper, do the row machine, do that kind of stuff. Bring the intensity. Those types of things, people think, oh, I can't get a good workout in 20 minutes. You absolutely can. And if you're not getting a good workout in 20 minutes, then you're not bringing the intensity. Another thing that I actually struggled with right away was once I got down in my calories, but I wouldn't say that I was a beginner. I'm not a beginner at that point, but you don't want to do this as a beginner, and that is nutrition changes that don't. You don't want to make nutrition changes that disrupt your family life, right? Your family meals. You don't want to be eating separate meals from your family. You don't want to, if you go out to eat with your family and friends or whatever, you don't want to just sit there and not eat anything. You don't make healthy, conscious decisions that allow you to experience that. And I know it's like you feel socially isolated. Like, I've done these things, but like I said, I wasn't a beginner at that point, and I didn't care. I had a specific goal I needed to hit so I could be done with my cut. I could be done with losing weight, right? But if you're starting off and you just automatically jump to that, you might fail, right? And I think that's where most people blow it. You need to make repeat meals when you're at home, and to get through like the struggle of time management, right? So as I talked about before, I'll do like 5 and 7 servings at a time, and then I'll usually do 1 or 2 meals, so that'll either get me like 3 days or something. And then if I do another meal with that and I'm doing like 5 servings, well, okay, now that's my 5 work days, and I have 2 meals for each day, right? You do that so if Sunday's your meal prep day and you work Monday to Friday and you work long hours and you're at work for 2 meals, you got to make sure that you're meal prepping 2 meals. Or if you give yourself one day that you're like, all right, well, I'm going to treat myself, and you go to like Chick-fil-A or Hoo Hot or, what have you, those things fit into your schedule. You're not ruining your system. You're not ruining your body. You're not ruining your diet. What you're doing is you're giving yourself some leeway, and although you meal prepped, you've been pretty damn good, and you're not ruining it. That's one thing that I recently started doing now that my calories are up, is once a week, maybe even twice a week, like I'll go out to eat. Like it has no effect on my goals. And I like to do that with my family. I'm not trying to go out to eat without my family. If I'm going to eat without my family, I'm just going to eat whatever I meal prepped. And I know a lot of those things, it can be kind of frustrating for your family if you go out to eat and you just sit there and you're sipping on your water or your diet soda, whatever you want. That stuff can be frustrating because I don't know the frustration. I've never had a family member do that, but as far as like my dieting goes, I'm sure it could be frustrating for my family when I was doing that. But once again, this is for beginners. I wasn't a beginner when I was doing this. I had a specific goal that I absolutely needed to hit so I could be done with it. So what you can do is when you're at home and say you meal prep, or you're say your wife is making supper, you can adjust your portions correctly. And then If you want to add a little bit of extra protein in there, however you want it, just go ahead and do that. I would not recommend, if your spouse makes something for you and the kids, to just completely not eat it, right? And I understand that is so hard. Your family might not understand your goals. You understand your goals. It might not fit into your goals. And either you need to have a conversation about, what you eat. Like, okay, and I'm saying this as like the extremes. Like, if your wife makes fried chicken and cherry pie and that's what she wants to eat all the time, okay, maybe that's not the best option for you, obviously. There needs to be a conversation there to be like, all right, you're making it feels like you're making it hard on my progress by making all this delicious food that is absolutely bad for me. Once again, I never had that problem. I typically always ate what my wife made, or what my mom or my mother-in-law, like whatever they made, I would typically eat that. I would just reel back on the portions, and then, later or even earlier, if I knew what we were having, I would, portion the rest of my meals out accordingly. Or I would supplement like a little extra protein with like either a protein shake or like a bucked up, to help me hit my goals that way, right? Those are small changes that can drastically affect the outcome of your goals, right? And I would say, along with that, is to simplify your meals. What I did, and I've talked about this a lot, I did chicken and potatoes. So simple, so good. As long as you cook it right, it's so good. Spaghetti. I ate so much spaghetti. You use your 93.7 ground beef, or you can use deer. You can use whatever beef you want, and then just drain the fat, all right? Then you put in your marinara, and then you just portion out your noodles. It's not that hard. You can do it, especially once you get used to it. It is not difficult to do. But I would say having simple meals is gonna get you so much further than trying to make all these elaborate meals, unless you have time to meal prep them. But if you want to do it every day, if you want to have these elaborate meals every day and make sure that your macros are to a point, right, you might struggle. And like I said, I didn't have that problem. I simplified my meals, and I was eating like chicken and corn, like a frozen bag of corn. I would just go to the store and throw it in the microwave. So simple, right? One of those crock pot meals that I put on my Instagram, the chicken and noodles. It's so simple. Literally, you just throw everything in, and then you start your noodles once it's done, and then you mix it all together. So simple. Yeah, keep your family foods and just adjust what you need to. Adjust your portions. And I understand some stuff your spouse might not be very filling, but if you want to have continued support from whoever's making your food, you should probably just adjust, because you're gonna piss some people off. To piggyback off of that, if you don't have the support of your spouse, I know how hard it can be. I was kind of annoying when I was down to 1,800 calories, and I was like, no, I don't want to go out to eat. I can't. Like, I don't have enough calories. I understand that stuff can be frustrating, but luckily I didn't do it too many times. So just try to be, cognizant of that and really pay attention, because things like I said, having that accountability partner from episode 2, if that is your spouse and they're, always wanting to go out to eat, obviously that stuff is difficult, and that's where a conversation needs to happen. But starting off, it just slowly adjust. It's a snowball. Don't adjust everything at once. You guys know that from the previous episode. It's obvious at this point. And yeah, that's all I got for that part. And so one thing I just wanna add is identify one friction point that seems to be always coming up, that's been consistent and or been persistent in your life, and remove it, right? So for me, when I was working out, before I had like a written out program, and this was years ago, before I had a written out program, I would just go to the gym and guess. Like, what do I feel like doing? Well, you don't really, one, it's a waste of time because you're spending 3, 4, 5 minutes in between each set, or not each workout, trying to figure out what you want to do and what you feel like doing. That is not sustainable. You can't really, if you're not being consistent, and progressive overload is how you gain muscle. So if you're not working the same muscles for your 12 weeks or however long you want your program, 16 weeks, however long, one, you're wasting your time, and you're wasting your time in the gym by not doing the same things over and over again, and you're also wasting your time in the gym by just guessing and looking around and thinking about what you need to be doing, right? Because you don't have a program. Or if your gym bag isn't ready, right? If you struggle to go to the gym because you're just like, oh, my gym bag's not ready. Now I gotta waste 10 minutes looking for everything because I don't know where everything's at, right? Do that the night before, or just always keep it in your truck, right? One thing I heard a long time, this is probably 5, 6 years ago. What this girl did was she slept in her gym clothes and she mixed her pre-workout the night before, and then had her protein shake. It was a pre-made one, so she just had her protein shake in her bag ready to go for on the way to the gym. And she put her pre-workout, she mixed it, set it by her bag, and then she slept in her gym clothes and then just had her shoes in her bag, right? Those small things can definitely help. I used to, in order to force myself to go to the gym, I would mix my pre-workout and I would chug it at home. Just so I was like, well, I guess we got to go, don't we? Because otherwise this is going to end very badly. Now, I might not recommend doing that. If you have to do it, you have to do it, right? But that's what I did. I made sure that I drank my pre-workout because I was pretty sensitive to caffeine at that point. So it worked for me. Yeah, and I would say you need to you really need to dial it in. If there are consistent excuses that you're coming up with or that are making their way into your life to not get to the gym, obviously there's something that you need to think about, restructure how you want to prepare for the gym. Right now, I just kind of do it. I don't need to make myself do anything. I do it at this point because it's habit. And obviously we talked about that in the first 2 podcasts. So building those habits and being consistent is what really gets you results, I should say. I think that's the best way to put that. Being consistent on getting to the gym and how you get to the gym. Those things they're gonna get you to the gym, and they are gonna get you through your workout. And like we talked about, having systems. If the system requires you to get your gym bag ready, sleep in your gym clothes, mix your protein shake, mix your pre-workout, if those are things that you absolutely have to do just so you can get to the gym, then do them. Like, those aren't small things. That might take maybe 5 minutes before you go to bed. Maybe. Probably not even that. And then, so in closing, I know this is kind of a little A little shorter than normal, but I think I highlighted everything that I wanted to. This isn't this isn't rocket science, but don't become someone new just to get in shape. Don't completely overhaul your life and become unrecognizable to where you're putting extra strain, extra stress on your family because you're putting your fitness goals before your kids and your spouse and your work, right? Those your those things are going to make you fail. And because that's not a sustainable lifestyle, right? Unless you don't have kids, you don't have a job, or you don't have a spouse, obviously you're going to have more free time. But someone like me who has all three of those, I am still able to make time and do everything I need to. I think people look at others who are in shape and it's like, wow, that person must have the most free time in the world. No, they probably have less. They're just better at time management, and they're not a slacker. They want to do the work and they want to get it done. So yeah, fitness should support your life. It should not compete with your life. And if you take away anything from this, the meals are probably the biggest thing, because some people don't like to meal prep. I genuinely like to count my calories and meal prep and do all that. And I think it's because of the results I've seen. I know it works. And you can find meal prep ideas anywhere. Like if somebody needs me to, I will tell them exactly what they should be eating day to day. I can give recipes and give people calorie goals if they don't want to worry about calorie, or if they don't want to worry about counting specific calories. I can tell you the portions you need and how much you should be eating in a day and all that. Like that is why I'm here, and that's why I'm doing it. So that's where the one-on-one coaching aspect comes into. And I am I am so convinced that if you were to try this, that in if you don't see measurable results in the first 30 days, like I would just give you your money back. And that's what I have to offer, right? Because if you follow the system that I put in place for you,